It's back. Bigger. Better. And better. It's Black History Month, the sequel, a 28-day celebration of black exploitation films. Blacula is back, baby, on the attack and ready for a snack. 1 year after the success of the first Blacula movie, 1973's Scream Blacula Scream attempts to resurrect the undead character for another go-round of bloodsucker shenanigans. Only this time, they were doing it without the original movie's director, William Crane. You would think that would negatively affect the sequel's story, but Scream Blacula Scream brings back the original writers to make sure the continuity is there. Too often, new writers and directors on a sequel completely ignore the previous continuity under the guise of a new vision. So Scream Blacula Scream gets props for respecting its predecessor. At the end of the first movie, Blacula, or Mama Walde if you want to get African about this, is nothing but bones. So you're probably wondering, how is it possible to even bring him back? Well, the explanation isn't as convoluted as you might think. The story goes like this. A voodoo queen dies, and somebody must take over the voodoo organization in her absence. Her son Willis, played by Richard Lawson, who I remember from Poltergeist, feels like he deserves it, but nobody likes him. So before her death, the voodoo queen and the rest of her followers decided that adopted daughter Lisa, played by Pam Grier, should be the rightful leader. Pissed off that he's denied his birthright, Willis buys some old bones from another former voodoo priest, under the promise that it will bring him immense power. Willis performs a little ritual, there's a light show, and just like that, boom, Blacula is back in action, fully dressed, pimp cape and all. Never mind how the old priest got the bones in the first place, since the cops were on the scene for Mama Walde's death. It doesn't matter. It's an old horror movie cliche that gets used a lot in other films like A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. Unfortunately for Willis, Blacula ain't down with being no slave, which he would know if he saw the first movie, and he immediately turns the tables and not only makes Willis a vampire, but steals his mansion. That's one way to get past the price of real estate these days. From here, Scream Blacula Scream does a complete 180 from Blacula and goes full camp horror, with way more action and a lot more death. I actually like it way more this way. Don't get me wrong, I liked the first movie, but it was really slow at times and really light on the horror. The sequel rectifies that by giving way more scary atmosphere and spooky and effective camera work to help hide its low budget. Like this scene where Blacula sneaks up on a woman sitting in front of a mirror. She senses something's coming, but of course, you can't see a vampire. The camera puts us in the position of Blacula, and the camera is just off center enough to hide the approaching threat.
And see what you will find. Every time I feel your hands, I know
It's only mildly suspenseful, but it's effective. Or how when Willis's girlfriend comes looking for him at his mansion, and he approaches out of the shadows. You expect them to look like his vampire form, but when his face is revealed, he's just regular old Willis.
Hey, Mama.
Mama, oh mama, you son of a bitch. Why are you scaring me like this?
These are small things for sure, but they are things that Scream Blacula Scream does better than the first movie. Even the story is better, I feel. It gives Blacula a more realistic goal this time around, since he aims to use Lisa's voodoo powers to help him cure him of his curse. It helps that both William Marshall and Pam Grier deliver great performances in this, really selling the emotion. There is some unintentional humor in it, but nothing too distracting. I do get a laugh at how hypocritical Blacula is though, because in one scene he's like,
"You give it up or we're gonna take it out on your black ass."
You made a slave of your sister, you're still slaves, imitating your slave masters.
But then, back at Casa de la Blacula,
and if one of you disobeys, you will never imagine the pain I offer.
So these aren't slaves? It's like an HR meeting in here. So, do you offer any benefits or? Yeah, dig, you see, I can only drink AB blood. Can you work with that, brother? I'm mixed when it comes to both Blacula movies. They're both good movies, but I have to give the edge to the sequel. The first one is good and sets up the character Blacula nicely, but not only is the action better in Scream Blacula Scream, but the story is too. Since this was the last Blacula movie, I only wish that the movies and the character had more offerings that we could bite into.